putting an end to identity politics. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jackson, it's Kevin Jackson Show. How do you deal with leftists who won't even admit that if you were to go to the doctor with cancer and the doctor misdiagnoses you with the flu, and they say, well, that's no big deal. I was just talking about Gorka and him using that analogy in calling Islamic terrorists what they are. It's the same thing that we experience every day, folks, with the left, where they say, don't call young black thugs. Don't call Antifa terrorists who go out, or Black Lives Matter people who go out and intentionally intimidate citizens of the United States expressing their First Amendment rights. Don't bother dealing with those guys, and calling them what they are. They're just friendly protesters. But they will mischaracterize you in a heartbeat. You are a Tea Party terrorist. They've gotten you so afraid to speak out on behalf of what you represent that people don't even want to be associated with the Tea Party. Let me tell you something. For all the chickens out there that run away from Tea Party, understand this. This warrior that you're listening to, I formed the Tea Party community, a Facebook-like site for conservatives. I proudly stand behind the Tea Party name, and I will practically guarantee you that within 2 years, you will join me in that effort, because you'll understand the importance of not letting the left control the narrative. When are we going to stop it? You can't call they stricken terrorists and certain names from the State Department under Barack Obama and then brought terrorists into your midst. Are you kidding? It's ridiculous that we allow this type of stuff to happen. They are disingenuous to their core. And it would be different, folks, if you were lying about what you ate for lunch or where you were over, the last 3 hours you were at the casino and you don't want to tell your significant other that you were gambling. I don't care. Pick your lie. But when your lie impacts the republic, what people believe in their hearts, shame on you. The idea, and I keep coming back to some of these same concepts because I want to drive this point home. The idea that black people are too stupid to get a valid license or a valid ID to vote. That's a lie, but that's a lie that permeates a community that makes black people over time feel low. You dehumanize them. Why don't you just call black leftists monkeys if you want to say, oh, they can't get a license or whatever. Look, I don't have a whole lot of respect for black leftists. I think that they've squandered the opportunity that were laid before them by our forefathers like Martin Luther King and Shuttlesworth and many others, Malcolm X. But what I will tell you is they're not dumb. They may be stupid, but they're not dumb. They will follow the leftists, but they know that we as a race of people can do great things if we come together. Now, why do we not come together? That's a whole other dynamic, and I'm happy to discuss it. And for the record, any of the things that I say, for people, oh, Kevin, that doesn't come out right. Well, then fine, I'm happy to clarify, but here's what else I'll tell you. I will debate my issues with anybody, anytime, anywhere. So bring it. I'd like to. Speaking of fake news and setting the wrong narratives and things like that, the New York Times had to retract the story on climate change. I touched on it yesterday, but they were forced to issue a correction after the much hyped report on the Trump administration supposedly attempting to hide a climate change report that didn't live up to the expectations that Donald Trump claimed. Now, the reason why you don't have to hide any data on climate change is because all of the data on the left has been falsified, and you can just go look at the doctors or the people, the climatologists who've looked at the data, and you'll find a litany of people who've been paid to say what they've been paid to say. You'll find no real evidence of man-made global warming or global catastrophe, yet they will hide their data. They won't tell you. We had to find their data the hardest way ever. If you want to know what we're willing to discuss, I will debate Bill Nye, the science fraud. I will debate any climatologist they put in front of me. And here's what I'll promise you, folks. I won't reference a single report. I'll just debate them with common sense. Call me the common sense debater. So the New York Times claims that, oh, they're hiding this information. What? Hiding what? What do they need to hide? That weather occurs? Oh, this has happened and it's this much since recorded history. Well, what about unrecorded history? You have any data on that? What about the unrecorded history that you agree happened when Pangea, the single continent, broke apart and formed what now constitute our continents? What about that? Was there a catastrophic event that occurred for that to happen? What did man have to do with it? What's man got to do with it? It's so funny because that if they wanted to go back to something, I'd say I would literally just start there. I'd say, okay, so do we all agree in the science that we were all one continent at one point? Yeah. Okay, so something broke us apart. Kevin, that was the tectonic plates and the volcanoes and all that. Do we still have volcanoes today? Are the tectonic plates still moving? Because the thing that shifted this one giant, continent all around the world and formed the tidal currents and what have you, which are changing all the time as well. But the thing that did that had nothing to do with man, and that had to be one of the most catastrophic things that could happen on the face of the planet. And even if we were on Earth, we have nothing to do with it. In fact, would you agree that the Earth is moving all the time as we sit on it? I'm not talking about spinning. I'm talking about moving. Because if you do understand that scientific fact, what I will tell you is there is nothing you can do to stop the San Andreas Fault from slipping, whatever amount it slips, when it slips prior to an earthquake, or whatever shifting that is occurring currently. And you can go look at GPS from 10 years ago, and they can tell you every place that the earth has moved. We lose coastline every day. What's man got to do with that? Man builds houses along coastlines, and you know what the earth does? It destroys them. It's no big deal. So I would love to debate these guys. Bring it. Bring your smartest people. And I'm only going to use common sense. And in fact, I'll make you a deal. I'll only ask 10 questions. I know I've already tipped off a few. Anyway, the Times report made its front page on Tuesday because it alleged that President Donald Trump's White House was delaying the release of a climate change report that said U.S. activities have contributed to climate change. The report was based on conclusions from scientists from 13 government agencies. 13. Wow, that's pretty impressive. 13 government agencies. Well, it turns out it wasn't all that it was cracked up to be. The Times quoted unnamed scientists who told them they were afraid Trump would suppress the report, which directly contradicts claims by President Trump and members of his cabinet. An article on Tuesday about a sweeping federal climate change report referred incorrectly to the availability of the report, the Times wrote in a correction at the bottom of its story. While it's not widely publicized, the report was uploaded by the nonprofit Internet Archive in January. It was not first made public to the New York Times. That's what their claim was, their disclaimer. The Times originally claimed that they had exclusively obtained the report, presumably through a government hacker, and were the first to report on it. However, it wasn't exactly true. In fact, the report had never been held in an unreleased status by the government and has been publicly available since last December. Scientists who worked on the report were quick to point that out, and even one took a veiled swipe at the Times by essentially alluding to the idea that they wanted to rush to judgment. Look, folks, the narrative's been set by the left. There's global climate change. They thought they jumped on something. Somebody quickly, misread what they thought was a smoking gun, and then they went for it. And the very organization that said during the election, hey, you know what, we were unfair. We need to be more fair in understanding things and, more judicious in our how we handle news, etc., is yet again promoting fake narratives. And when conservatives tell me, Kevin, you got to understand climate change, I go, let me explain something to you. You're a moron. If you believe, and I'm sorry to make you feel this way, because I don't like hurting people's feelings, but you're a moron if you believe that man is impacting the earth with respect to the climate or any of the big things that occur on a day-to-day basis. You're ridiculous if you believe that. You're full of yourselves.
He won't stop until he's the top-rated radio talk show host in America.
What kind of weird competitive freak are you?
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.